How do you take MMMBop and make it into a song for an orchestra? Can you take me through that and illustrate?
The one song that's not built around piano. You know?
Well, I'm sure
well, one of the things
I think
will say,
the key thing about any song,
because I think it's a challenging song to make orchestral. That's not one that necessarily lends itself.
I could see why you think that. Yeah, the main thing I think is really more about our perspective on music.
Yeah.
And people ask us a lot this question that it completely baffles me. People say, "Don't you hate playing insert song?" So MMMBop, let's say, "Don't you hate playing MMMBop?" And you go, well, that's a really strange thought. It's a song I wrote. It's a song that we've received many accolades for, and song people love that song. People like have that tattooed on their arms and their face and their right. And so why would you hate that song? And the reason you would hate it is because of your insecurities, right? Because of the fact that you're stuck in this idea of I want to be known for X and not that. And the thing about our story is it is so much about perspective, right? Gain the perspective to know that the challenge of this moment is really not to be stuck in this moment, it's to see the future. And that's what MMMBop is about. MMMBop says you have many relationships and very few of them will last. And so see right now the future and hold on to the things that will really be important, not the things of this moment, but the things that are timeless.
Search for things that have lasting value.
So with the arrangement for MMMBop, it was really about trying to say what is the essence of what makes MMMBop sort of lasting and beautiful, right? How do you accentuate that message, which is, I think, what has made it last the test of time. What we did was we took as much out as possible so that we could really let the strings and the woodwinds and things fill in this emotion, right?
And also the song, I mean, musically, we couldn't, we needed, instead of going big, we went small. Because the song is really kind of a campfire song. That's kind of the way MMMBop is built. You know, it's... You have this like triad going, but the verses, you have so many relationships in this life, only one or two will last. You go through all the pain and strife, then you turn your back, gone so fast.
And then also drawing in the, you end up with a drone that kind of creates a melancholy quality to it. So you go, and all of a sudden, and when you create those harmonic tension, it draws in the melancholy qualities of that.
So if you listen to string theory of the record, we thought of the sections. They're less of like, here's the horns and the brass and the strings, and it's more like here's melancholy, or here's a triumphant feeling, and here's a feeling of anticipation. And so with MMMBop, you hear the main string line in the choruses is and so it's creating this sort of rhythm, right, which is now like there's no drums in it, so it needs rhythm, but it also feels like an anticipation of something that is coming, right? There's sort of an emotional tension that's created through the strings.
And the strings are really percussive in that.
Right, they're very percussive because there's room for that because there's no drums and there's timpanis, there's other percussion. But the other thing about it too is it plays to that lyric of saying like, very few things will last, and in MMMBop they're gone. You feel the sense of like time, anticipation, something is about to happen. And so, you know.
So you're actually trying to reflect the lyrics in the composition.
Absolutely.
I mean, the lyric is really the biggest guiding point of the show. And the story, the story starts with one piano and a symphony. It's a song called Reaching for the Sky. And the first lyric is, there's a boy I used to know, he was always searching high and low. While others looked and wondered why, he said, I am reaching for the sky. And then this theme, which is reaching and climbing. And so this idea of reaching, I'm going somewhere, MMMBop picks up 2 or 3 songs in where it's like, this is sort of, I'm going for this dream. And
I'm gonna have to
I'm basically already realizing that when I step through this door, I'm going to leave some stuff behind. We put the song Yearbook, which is another one. There's a few songs from our first record which has this. It has this slightly more minor key vibe to it, and it starts with. It's like very
Yeah.
Like Wagner.
melodramatic. It's a melodrama. But as you go through it, we sort of talk about the first half is called "Reaching for the Sky" in our minds. Second half there's a song called "Battle Cry." We sort of internally titled that "Battle Cry," the second half of the show, because it's all about we went for the dream. We believed in this character is struggling. He ends on a cliffhanger. This show's in two pieces. And so when you come back to that second half, it's not to say that there's no challenges anymore. It's just to say that that character decides, I'm going to fight.
I got to fight.
And so it's kind of fun because you see like new songs like "Reaching for the Sky" reprises, and you hear it. It starts the second half. There's a second half of the song. And then
like
after
this time around.
after it does that, then you hear a familiar song. You hear, so when we play this riff. Fans, like, oh, that's
Immediately
one of the top
freak
10
out,
songs.
yeah,
Like, oh my gosh,
right.
there's not that many like that where they put that single on there.
As composers and songwriters, to be able to have those motifs and bring them in and out throughout the show, like that.
Yeah,
Well, and
it
as
was
an
one
example,
of the fun things about doing the show.
if MMMBop was about removing things, this time around was really about accentuating things. The original recording of that song is very swampy. It's actually barely an up tempo. And so when we went into this, there is a single cello line in the song in the original recording. And so we said, well, that cello line is iconic, but what about hearing that where you have double bass?
Yeah.
You have actually 5 or 6 cellos at the same time playing lines. And
Does it change the way you sing it, though?
In some senses, I mean, certain songs, like for example, MMMBop is a little bit slower than the original version. Not a lot, but a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this time around it's a little faster than the original. I mean, so there are
I would
ebbs
say
and flows.
it does not change what you do as a singer particularly, but it does change what you hear. The words with a different space, with a different intensity, like they carry a different weight. And so when you do sing them, there are moments when you're digging in a different way because you change the arrangement. And now instead of being with a full band, it's a cappella with a string section behind it. And so you need to resonate in a different way because there's no drums, there's no bass, there's no moments like
Well,
that.
I mean, one of the examples of that, I would say, is there's a song that ends the first half. It's called "Me, Myself, and I," and it's a song that was on a previous record that real fans know. Ballad we're proud of. It's a great lyric that we love, but sort of an unsung hero. Not really like we rarely play it on shows.
Yeah.
But in this show, it's a moment because it is the end of the first half, and it's the Michael Crichton and they may die if only he walks through the door. Next chapter, it's like, and that me, myself, and I will never be alone. We'll find a way to get along. It will be fine when all that's left is me, myself, and I. And so the whole thing is
Don't
so
apologize.
The
It's great.
lyric is, so you sing this is the end of the first half, and the first lyric is, it must be the end of the road. It must be the end of you and I, and forever too. I'm walking the last bridge alone. We're giving up on the good times and the bad we knew, and then, but when I'm alone in a cold dark room, well, there's still someone that I can tell my troubles to, with me, myself, and I. So he goes through this, and it leaves you with that song. It's basically like, this person has basically said, if this thing falls apart, I'm okay. But he doesn't say it's not going to fall apart.
Right.
So, and that's the power of music. Like, we could have talked for 20 minutes, and then, or I could have just played you a verse.
Right.
And you'd be like, oh, I get it. So,
All right.
and so that's one of the biggest, almost like, aha. We get to pull from the most powerful emotional tool in human existence, which is music. Music, besides maybe the smell of like apple pie.
Yeah, that's
That's-
also similarly
The music
powerful.
and scent, these senses, they cause you to just like, and it's almost like we've borrowed like God, we've borrowed divine power. So when we have somebody follow us or come and say, I've followed you guys for 20 years, or that song was meaningful, it's sort of like you too? Because we're
fans
all
first, too.
we're running and like you could all go away and we would probably still be sitting around this piano.